Okay, today we're going to look at number lines and subtraction. So remember to think about some things to think about when you're looking at number lines and subtraction. If you take away the positive, you're going in the negative direction. And if you take away the negative, you'll be going in the positive direction. Let's look at our first problem. 3 2/5 minus 1 and negative 1 3/4. So if we start at 0, we would go to 3 2/5. Now it says to take away the negative. Well, if we take away the negative, we're heading in the positive direction. And we will head 1 3/4 in the positive direction. So can you tell what we need to do? If you said add, you're correct. Because we're going to be going positive and even more in the positive direction. So what we'd want to do is let's go ahead and write these numbers as improper fractions. So I've got 17/5 plus, and that will be 4, 5, 6, 7/4. Our common denominator will be 20. So we multiply by 4, we get 68. Multiply by 5, we get 35. So in this case, we're going to add those two numerators together, 68 plus 35, and that should be 103 over 20. Well, that's great for an improper fraction, but can we change that to a mixed number? Sure. So let's do 20 into 103. It's in there 5 times with 3 left over. So we should end up at 5 3/20. Okay, let's look at another one. So we're going to start at 0. We're going to travel to 1 2/3. But then what happens? We're going to take away the positive, which means we'll head in the negative direction, 3 1/4. So what does that mean we need to do? Well, we need to subtract their absolute values, and our answer should be negative. So let's go ahead and change these to improper fractions. 1 2/3 will become 5/3. 3 1/4 will become 12 13/4. Now we need to subtract their absolute values. So to subtract their absolute values, we would do 3 1/4 will be 13/4 minus 5/3. So we're going to change those to twelfths. That's a 2. And this will be times 3 times 3. We get 39 twelfths times 4 over 20. So we end up with 19 twelfths. And will that be positive or negative? Well, it should be in the negative direction because if you look at our drawing, we're definitely on the negative side of 0. As a matter of fact, 12 and the 19, one time, 1 and 7/12. So it's negative 1 7/12 is where we'll end up at. So that's one way you can look at subtracting using a number line. Now it's a little bit different with decimals. Different because I think it's easier. So if we start at 0 and we head to negative 3.5, then it says to take away the negative. So we'll be heading back in the positive direction, 1.75. Will we get to 0? No. We'll still be on the negative side, so our answer still should be negative. So we're going to do 3.5 minus 1.75. We're subtracting the absolute values, and we should end up with 1.75. So we should end up at negative 1.75 because our answer still should be on the negative side of 0. So that's just a little bit about how to use number lines to do subtraction. Yeah, it's a little weird. Yeah, it's a little different, but hopefully you get the idea.